Big news! Now, earlier this week, the Mark Dolan Show exclusively revealed that Prince Harry, the world's least happy millionaire, misses the United Kingdom, misses his family and friends, and misses his royal duties. And now, the Guardian newspaper have sensationally revealed that Prince Harry is playing a long-term game to re-enter British life, and the way he plans to do that is via Archie and Lily. Now, the newspaper reports that when applying for British passports for his two offspring, he fought incredibly hard for the HRH titles, His and Her Royal Highness, and the surname Sussex to be included in the travel document. And here is why. Prince Harry is using Archie and Lily as a way back into the royal family and a way to reconnect with King Charles. It is a Trojan horse strategy to sneak his way back into royal circles and reclaim some of what he has lost. Now, we've seen Meghan Markle using Archie and Lily, who are just 6 and 4, to boost her crumbling business empire by releasing incredibly personal and private photographs. Very unethical. It destroys their privacy. It's cynical and exploitative. But it seems that Prince Harry is just as bad, reportedly leveraging and even weaponizing Archie and Lily in order to drag himself back into the orbit of Buckingham Palace and the firm. Now, the official line, according to The Guardian, a paper, by the way, normally friendly to the Sussexes, is that Prince Harry wants to keep the HRH titles for his children so that when they grow older, they can decide for themselves whether they want to be working royals or stay out of public life. Well, look, his two offspring, Archie and Lily, are at the moment respectively 6 and 4. So Harry and Meghan reckon that they want the kids to decide what their lives will be like when they're older, that they've got the options. Well, they haven't had much choice, have they, with their image being plastered all over the internet on a trip to Disneyland and Archie's birthday and Lily beekeeping. I mean, this couple couldn't care less about their children's privacy, given the fact that they are using them on social media to make themselves more famous, to boost their brand. So it's very rich of this couple to say that they're thinking about the kids' future. You should have thought of that before you exploited them in this egregious way on Instagram and elsewhere. By the way, even mentioning Archie and Lily, because Meghan's TV show was littered with references to Lily this and Archie that. Although I will say, and a couple of you have mentioned this in the comments, which is that actually Archie gets a lot less mentions than Lily. It seems that Lily is the apple of Meghan's eye, and it seems that Archie appears to be another spare in the family, alongside poor old Prince Harry, humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dum, the world's least happy millionaire. Poor old me, Prince Harry, humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dum. I hate the royal family. It was a miserable experience being a frontline royal, but now I want my kids to be HRH Prince and Princess. Make it make sense. Humpy-dumpy-dumpy-dum. So it's very clear that the couple are indulging in horrific double standards, but they are the Duke and Duchess of double standards. So this is the line from The Guardian. Harry wants to keep the HRH titles for his children so that when they grow older, they can decide for themselves whether they want to become working royals or stay out of public life. Now, the bottom line is that wasn't his experience at Buckingham Palace so horrific with, by the way, chefs available 24/7, top security, butlers, footmen, someone to iron your newspaper, and someone else to put toothpaste onto your toothbrush? That was Harry's miserable existence, apparently. And apparently it was so awful that he had to flee the United Kingdom and move to Montecito in California. And so it was so bad. And by the way, Meghan was miserable. She didn't even want to be alive anymore, apparently, according to various interviews. She didn't even wish to be on the planet anymore. By the way, a claim that I would take very seriously if Meghan wasn't such a proven liar in the past. I would take that seriously. If someone said that, expressed that sentiment, then I would be very concerned and I would actually reach out to a physician and a psychologist and a psychiatrist and get some help for that person. But Meghan Markle, I'm afraid, has no credibility. So any claims she makes are just to be taken with a pinch of salt. But we were told by the couple during their world privacy tour, on the podcast appearances, on the Netflix show Harry and Meghan, the documentary, a work of fiction, you're welcome, in the book Spare, how terrible the whole thing was. And now they want to guarantee that still remains a possibility for Archie and Lily, that they're going to have that misery too. Surely, if being HRH and Prince or Princess was so miserable, then they should prevent their kids from going down that route and say, no, we never want them to have titles because we want them to have happy lives and we don't want them to go through what we went through. But Harry is keeping a door open to a life for his kids that he said was horrific. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're a pair of numpties and they contradict each other every 11 seconds. So that's what we've got, the official line via The Guardian. Great reporting, I've got to say. Harry wants to keep the titles so the kids can decide when they are older. But, and here's the but, there's always a but. Another well-placed source has told the excellent Richard Eden in the Daily Mail that Palace insiders are utterly bewildered by this latest move on the part of Prince Harry. They told Eden, whose column on the Mail Online is a cracking read, I'd highly recommend it. Richard Eden, what a great journalist. And the quote from an insider is, Harry and Meghan apparently found official duties and life within the royal family unbearable, yet they want this for their children. It doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense. By the way, I don't know why I've got a chicken skewer again. What is going on? Fire the producer. Now, so they say, the insider said this doesn't make sense. And it contradicts itself. And you're absolutely right. But let me just say, let me pull rank on this royal insider because it makes sense to me. This move makes perfect sense to me because I think what Harry's doing is preserving his future as a public figure. Because if he is the father of active royals, okay, so when the kids are grown adults, they turn 18 and it's Princess Lily and it's Prince Archie, HRH, then he becomes the father of active royals. So he becomes relevant again. He becomes important again. He has status. He's the father of HRH Prince Archie and HRH Prince Lily. So he's, significant again. He matters. He's on the map. And the bottom line is that Harry craves this because he actually had that royal privilege. He had those titles. He was one of the most famous men in the world. He was a significant public figure. He gave it all up because he was hoodwinked by a Z-list TV actress from the United States who wasn't even the best thing in Suits. And he now inhabits what is more a hostage situation than a marriage. But this is the path he chose, and it involved giving up the royal titles, most of them, and that position and that status. He misses it. He craves it because he had it and he's lost it. Be careful what you wish for, folks. Be careful what you wish for. Who was it that lovely Elizabeth Taylor remarried? She remarried one of her husbands. I think she had 6 husbands, didn't she? And what a wonderful lady. What a beauty she was, a screen idol. And but she remarried one of her ex-husbands because she missed him and she realised. Phil Collins did the same thing. One more night. Give me just one more night. Phil Collins remarried Ariane, I think she was called. Poor Phil Collins. What a legend. One of my absolute heroes. Fun fact about Phil Collins, before I get you some royal truth bombs. There are just 3 people in music history that have sold him 100 million records solo and 100 million records in a group, right? So 3 people in history that have sold 100 million records by themselves and 100 million in a group. So that's 200 million, one with the group, one solo. The 3 people are Sir Paul McCartney. Hello, peace and love. I'm Paul McCartney. Oh, I wrote Hey Jude. Then you've got Michael Jackson. Oh, and you've got Phil Collins. One more night. Give me just one more night. Wonderful guy. His health is destroyed because of playing the drums for years. Did you know that? He played the drums. His hands are wrecked. His joints, his back shot to pieces. The poor man is not well. But I love Phil Collins. Anyhow, that's royalty, not Prince Harry. Phil Collins is rock royalty. But when you've had that status like Prince Harry's had, he craves it. He doesn't want to give it up. It's like people that have had money and lose it. I mean, I would agree with that. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments. There's nothing worse, I would argue, than having had money and then being broke. I'd much rather be broke for my whole life than be rich from like the age of 30 to 40 and then be broke again. Thanks, but no thanks. So that's how he feels, you see. He's had his bluff called because what's happened is that he's gone to America. He's bored out of his skull having dinner parties with the Clooneys. And George Clooney, by the way, great actor. What a boring man. No wonder people have to write the words for him. No wonder he's got to follow a script. No wonder he's got to literally become someone else. What a boring man George Clooney is. And you've got to sit next to him at one of those Montecito dinner parties. And George is like, yeah, I had to get to the personal trainer for the PT for get my muscles up. Yeah. And she shaved all my hair off. And I had to learn to abseil. No one cares, George. I'm bored out of my tears listening to you. So anyway, that's Harry's new life, listening to boring millionaires. And he misses the titles. He misses the royal connections. He misses the armed guards. By the way, the armed guards, that's not about safety. It's about status. He wants armed cops around him in the UK as a flex, just like a rapper. You know when the rappers go around with 60 personal assistants? They just come in. It's like an army of people with a tiny little man in the middle who's the famous rapper. They're always tiny. Tiny dancer. The rappers are always tiny. They are diminutive. They are the size of a cup of tea. They're as big as an eyelash. The rappers are tiny. No wonder they're so angry. It's like, I'll set the world to right. I'm like 1 foot. I'm a foot and a half in height, so I'm going to do all these angry lyrics, and I'll become a master. These rappers, quite strange people. Kanye West. We'll do a special on him soon. So the bottom line is that Harry craves that status. He wants the armed guards in London because it looks good. And he wants, the blue lights, the sirens. Woo, woo, woo. Here comes Prince Harry. And it's pathetic, really. But that's what it is, folks. He's taken this path and he's not happy. He's not. And that is the official position of the Mark Dolan Show. After many decades on this planet, it's my assessment that he knows he's made a mistake. He's in too deep. Another Phil Collins lyric. I mean, this show is not just thrown together, is it? I'm in too deep. So that's what he's doing. The other reason why he's clinging on to the coattails of his children, which is very undignified, is because it future-proofs a role for him in the court of King William. Because Harry is embarked at the moment on a crisis strategy maneuver, okay? Harry's in crisis mode because he knows that King Charles is a kind and forgiving man. Too kind, too forgiving, which is why the H-bomb, Harry, my husband. He's my husband. I call him H. My husband. The reason why he's so spoiled is because Charles was too nice to him all these years. Too nice. He needed a clip around the ear. Anyhow, so he's spoiled, rotten. But he knows, of course, that next is the court of King William, which is going to be a nightmare for the couple. As we mentioned before, when Catherine is crowned queen, Meghan Markle will evaporate. She will self-combust. She will explode. She will simply disappear in a cloud of dust. When Catherine is crowned queen with that amazing... I mean, what is the value of the Queen's crown? $500 million at least? That would be a steal. That's eBay prices. And Meghan will faint. She'll collapse. She will internally combust. She will transmogrify into a whole nother universe when Catherine becomes queen. And Harry's going to hate it. Harry is going to hate it when his brother is king. So what he's doing by weaponizing his offspring is to make a role for himself in the court of King William, because of course William will have to deal with these, you've got this prince and princess, HRH, Archie and Lily. And therefore, William will accompany them and he'll have to be part of it. He'll have a role. He's the father of HRH and Prince and Princess. So this will stick in the craw for William, which is why I think William, when he becomes king, the first thing he should do is he should sit down, a load of executive orders, and one of them should be to remove HRH from Harry and Meghan and Duke and Duchess, and also remove it from the kids too. Because I'm so sorry, but if my parents were just as obnoxious as Harry and Meghan, which they're not, my late father and my amazing mother are amazing people, but if they were obnoxious, I would suffer the consequences of their behavior, and that's life, isn't it? So that's the big thing. The other thing is it will boost his ego for them to be HRH, because he'll be like, oh, my kids are Her Royal Highness and His Royal Highness, and they are Prince and Princess, and it just boosts his floundering ego. It gives him a reason to go to the palace. It elevates his brand in 20 years' time, because in 20 years' time, can you tell me what Harry's going to be doing in 20 years' time? Can you let me know your best guess as to what the H-bomb, Harry, my husband, will be doing in 20 years' time? He won't be doing anything constructive. There won't be any charities, because he keeps getting fired from his own charities, including Centibale, where he's been accused of, which he's denied, horrific bullying allegations. Definitely, he's been a part-time participant in that project. He's been chucked out. Well, he says he's left, but I mean, that's self-preservation. Centibale is a smoking ruin of a charity, mired in claims of corruption, financial impropriety, bullying, all the rest of it, incompetence. And he went there. How many times did he go to Lesotho? A couple of times in 6 years? Forget it. That's not commitments, is it? I'll tell you where he goes more often. He goes to Wendy more often. Wendy Burger. Wendy's. He loves the Wendy. Harry loves a Wendy. And in 20 years' time, he won't have any charities. He won't have any jobs. There'll be no more books. He'll have had Spare. Then there'll be like Spare 2. It'll be like the Jaws franchise. By the time we get to Spare 7, we've all lost the will to live. We'll be like Meghan. None of us want to exist at that point. No one ever asks me how I'm feeling. So that's all he'll do. He'll just be propping up the bar. Do you remember the sitcom Cheers? And you got those great characters like Cliff and Norm, and they lived at the Cheers bar, didn't they, in Boston? They sit there with they barely drank any beer. They just sat there sort of holding a beer glass. Those were the characters in Cheers, Cliff and the other guy. How can I have remembered his name a second ago? Now I forgot it. Norm. And by the way, the actor that played Norm sadly passed recently. What a legend he was, and apparently a lovely man, George Wendt. Anyhow, but Harry, that'll be like Cheers round at the Montecito branch of Wendy's, won't it? Harry will just be sat there with his Baconator every day. They'll be like, oh, hello, hey Harry, how's it going? It'll be on first name terms, because he knows that his prospects are zero going forward. Harry's prospects are zero. He knows he's got nothing to offer. His kids are now the meal ticket. That is official. And this is the problem. This is what the issue I have. I love the royal family and everything, but there is an issue with elevating someone like Harry, a dim aristocrat who you elevate to the highest status in the land. The guy is as thick as two short planks, right? He is a couple of pistons short of a full engine. So he needs that royal connection, arguably more than Meghan, because Meghan's got a plan. She has a post-divorce plan. That's why she's trying to get 5, 10, 15 million Instagram subscribers. She's using Archie and Lily for that. She's trying to get a business empire going. She invests in companies. She's got her own As Ever, which may or may not resurface as a company that actually sells things at some point. Wouldn't that be nice? And of course, she's sitting on a gold mine with the Meghan book, which she's already threatened to write. She won't do that till after the divorce, and she'll get $100 million. Plus, you'll get a massive divorce settlement, because as this show revealed, there's no prenup. So Harry will just be a poor, irrelevant man in years to come, which is why he knows he needs a reason to go to Buckingham Palace, a reason to come home, and having royal kids is the answer. And isn't it ironic that Harry is the same man who consulted his own uncle about changing the family name to Spencer in an act of disloyalty and ingratitude that will be devastating to his father, King Charles? He doesn't care. Now, that move to change the name to Spencer, that came from Meghan, in my view, because Meghan is obsessed with names. She wanted Lily to be Lily Diana Spencer, because then she can turn Lily into the reincarnation of the Princess of Wales, which is a horrific thing to do. It's ghoulish, really, isn't it? It's dark. There's some dark stuff going on there. So wrong. She seems less focused on Archie. I think Archie is the second spare in the household. he got a couple of mentions in the TV show. He gets one or two Instagram posts, but it's all about Lily. She wants to have a business with Lily when she's older. Another thing that the couple have decided, Lily's going to be an entrepreneur. What happens if Lily wants to be just a simple all-American girl? Maybe Lily wants to be a server at Hooters, which is a high-quality, outstanding dining establishment in the United States, known for its friendly, cheerful, and incredibly provocative young waiting staff. Right? They've all got a little spring in their step over at Hooters. Maybe that's what Lily would like to do. Maybe that's her dream. Perhaps she'd like to be on the broiler at Wendy's, because there are worse jobs you can do. I used to be on the broiler at Burger King, the BK. That was my job when I was at university. Yes, I went to university. What a waste of money. Who do I pay the money back to? You're welcome. So, look. Yeah, Lily. It's all about Lily. And I'll tell you for why. Because Meghan is a narcissist. Meghan has had a daughter. So Meghan is like, Lily is me. And me is Lily. Lily is me. And me is Lily. Lily is me. And me is Lily. That's what's going on there. She sees herself in Lily. And that poor little rascal is going to carry the burden of being Meghan Markle 2.0. Can you imagine anything worse? Can I apologise, by the way, for my slightly sweaty demeanour? London is enjoying a brief heat wave, and we may need some American-style aircon at some point. Who knew that London would turn into Dubai? You're welcome. I was in Dubai recently. Not recently, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. At some point, I was in Dubai, and I found it too hot. It was cloyingly hot. But America's going to be hot when the Mark Dolan Show goes there at the end of this month. Late June, early July, and I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'll be in California. I'll be in Death Valley, Yosemite National Park. I'll be in Washington, D.C. and New York. I'll also be in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's a beautiful thing. America, here we come. And I'll have to get used to these rather balmy conditions. The problem with the UK, though, unlike America, Australia, and elsewhere, is that those countries, America, Australia, New Zealand, they get hot, so they have aircon already. But the UK doesn't get properly hot, so we have no aircon. So everyone's sweating at the moment. I doubt there's much aircon at Buckingham Palace, to be quite honest with you. Especially not under the watch of Queen Elizabeth, who was very, very careful with money. She was very humble, and she was not a spendthrift. Anyhow, so this move to change Lily's name to Spencer, Lily Diana Spencer, I think that's come from Meghan, because Meghan is obsessed with names. And by the way, she'll be behind this whole princess and Sussex thing on the passport. You know, you have to judge that almost everything that Harry does and says is authored by Meghan. I've got no doubt that she ghost wrote the book Spare. Harry doesn't do sentences. Don't forget that. Right? Harry is he's not a man of any lyrical talent. He's not a great talker. He's just a very lumbering, cumbersome personality. Poor Prince Harry, world's least happy millionaire. Hop-be-dump-be-dump-be-dump. Don't know how long my dad's got left. Oh, who cares? I'll be flippant about the health of my father. Hop-be-dump-be-dump-be-dump. So, Meghan is obsessed with names and titles, but of course always contradicting herself. She told Oprah Winfrey, I've been a waitress, an actress, a princess, a duchess, and the most important title I will ever have is mum. Well, no, that's not her most important title. Her most important title is HRH, Duchess of Sussex, because she puts it on all of her invitations, and anything that gets written down is HRH, Duchess of Sussex. Don't you know? I'm not Meghan Markle anymore. I'm Meghan Sussex. Right? She's very clear about that. She's obsessed. Sussex! She goes on, the moment we got married and everything started to go south, it was like, you're not going to be protected. She goes on, I was like, hold on a second. You stripped me of everything. My name, my identity. She was stripped of nothing. She was given an identity. Meghan Markle is nothing more than an amoeba. Meghan Markle is just a sort of soulless blob. She's an avatar. She's the human manifestation of ChatGPT gone horribly wrong. She's not real. She's a hologram. She's just a manifestation. There's nothing there. She's an illusion. No wonder she went into acting. Just like George Clooney. She's got to become someone else to be half interesting. So, and how dare she say that she was stripped of her name, Markle? Well, then call yourself Meghan Markle and stop attacking people for calling you Meghan Markle, which this show, the Mark Dolan Show, always will. But that's what she told Oprah in a pack of lies. By the way, I'm sure Oprah's had enough of her. Oprah hasn't said a word about Meghan ever since that interview. It's a couple of years, at least, isn't it? 2 or 3 years ago. She's not said a word. I think Oprah has dumped Harry and Meghan. And I suspect, because I feel sorry for Oprah, because she is the next door neighbour of Harry and Meghan. So she's probably kept awake at night by the sound of Harry crying himself to sleep in his underground lair. My terrible life. Humpy-dumpy-dum. And I would imagine that Meghan tries to sort of doorstop Oprah Winfrey time to time, right? She turns up at her house, with a bag of perfectly clean vegetables plucked from the soil of her garden, all in season on the same day. And she probably rings the doorbell. And I would imagine Oprah's a billionaire, so she's probably got one of those video doorbells, like, the Ring doorbell. And Oprah sees Meghan's smiling face on the camera and the perfectly clean fruit and vegetables all in season on the same day. And Oprah's like, the dog's barking. Oprah's like, tell them I'm out. Tell them I'm not here. Because Oprah, like the rest of us, is done with this couple. So there you go. You've got a couple that hate the royal family and have slandered them in the most egregious way possible. We know that. But they want the titles and they want to burden the kids with them as well. And do you know who didn't do that? Princess Anne, who's one of my absolute heroes. She's so much like Elizabeth, more like Elizabeth than Charles, I would argue. And Princess Anne, right, under the 1917 letters patent issued by King George V, as grandchildren of the then sovereign Queen Elizabeth, through the male line, both Peter and Zara, Anne's kids, could have been styled as Prince and Princess, but Princess Anne and her then husband, Captain Mark Phillips, declined the Queen's offer of titles for their children. Now, this was ages ago. This would have been in the 80s. I'm trying to think how old Mark Phillips and Zara are, but I would say the 80s, some point in the 80s. Ahead of her time. Now, the default would be for Zara and Peter to be Prince and Princess. And yet Anne was so humble that all those years ago, with the cachet that being a prince and princess brought, she's like, no, they don't want that. I want them to be well-adjusted children. Anne wanted her children to have a normal life and avoid the constraints and public scrutiny that often come with royal status. What a rock star Princess Anne is. She said, I think it was probably easier for them, and I think most people would agree, that there are downsides to having titles. Anne is so right. Tell that to Harry and Meghan. She said, so I think that was probably the right thing to do. Probably, definitely. Peter and Zara Phillips grew up without royal titles, no HRH status, no taxpayer-funded duties. And what do they have? Amazing lives. Peter is very successful in sports marketing, and Zara is an Olympic equestrian and brand ambassador, married to a very famous ex-rugby player. So that's how you do it, the Princess Anne way. Meghan and Harry are cynically plotting a return to the royal front line, and they're using their kids to do it. Absolutely shocking. Folks, it's been great to talk. So much more to discuss on tomorrow's show. Don't forget, 4:45 p.m. UK time, 8:45 a.m. on the west coast of the United States, 11:45 a.m. on the East Coast, and late night or early morning down under. Can't wait for the next video. By the way, a quick one. Lots of you are saying, where is Reg the cat? It's my neighbour's cat. Well, Reg is my neighbour's cat. It doesn't belong to me. So it's very uneven as to when he comes. But I've got my eyes peeled. And I'm pretty sure that according to his funny little cat calendar, he'll be back. And he'll be back hopefully sooner rather than later. See you tomorrow for the next Mark Dolan Show. And please, by the way, please subscribe, like if you can. Hit the notification bell so you get alerted when the video's out. And I'll see you tomorrow. And Reg, wherever he is, sends his love.